twist the bones and bend the back.
Back in 1693, the people of Salem, Massachusetts, witches,
Yes?
thought they got rid of the Sanderson sisters for good.
We shall be back!
300 years later, it's Halloween Eve, and they're back.
We're home!
Are you boys a little old to be trick-or-treating?
We're talking about 3 ancient hags versus the 20th century. How bad can it be?
Now they're digging up old friends and running amok, looking for the one thing they miss most.
You stay for supper.
I'm not hungry.
But we are.
Only one boy has the power to stop them
Prepare to die again!
You have no powers here, you fool!
before all Salem falls under their spell.
Hell, you!
Walt Disney Pictures presents Bette Midler,
Hello.
Sarah Jessica Parker,
Would thou dance with me?
and Kathy Najimy. Hocus Pocus.
Into the night!
They love to fly, and it shows.
Good night. Sleep tight. No screaming.
What is it?
It's time to go back.
Welcome.
Hey there, welcome back to Generation S. It's a podcast about growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. Let me put it to you this way. If this film that we're discussing today is an essential part of your annual Halloween time viewing, this podcast may be for you. I'm Dan Kemp, and today I am joined once again by my lovely wife and Generation S Hall of Famer at this point, Beth.
Hey, guys.
And this is another Beth-isode for all the Beth fans out there, which I don't know. I am of the camp that you have a pretty strong following here. We always get positive feedback from our friends about the episode. In fact, people that only listen to the episodes that you're in. But you're trying to play it off like cool to me. You're like, no, it's like 2 people.
Yeah, it is. It's like 2 people, and it's because they're my friends. They're deep.
No,
they're good friends.
There's more than that, okay? But
That's like your mom going, "Oh, you look so cute."
listen, my mom always told me that I was the handsomest guy and that whoever I was with would be the luckiest girl in the world. And I mean, she's not wrong. So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So, Halloween time. I think when we first started dating over 10 years ago, I think we agreed that Halloween was like our favorite time. Both of us.
Oh, yes.
Our favorite holiday. Like,
1,000%.
starting, I don't like to start too much sooner than like 1st of October as far as getting into it, because I've definitely done this before where like you get like Halloweened out too early. Like I remember one year, I can't remember the year. It was like September, and it was like early September, and I was like getting pumpkin flavored everything, right?
I think it was only a few years ago.
I think it was.
It was only like 2 or 3 years ago,
yeah,
maybe.
But I went hard, and then
You
like I
did.
watched Halloween movies every single day, and I got like before Halloween even happened, I was burnt out. Like it happens. So I've learned since then. I'm pacing myself. But as a kid, it was for you as a kid, was it your favorite holiday, or like would you still put Christmas over Halloween as a kid?
No. I think Halloween was always my favorite.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah.
Okay. Was it the trick-or-treating? What was your favorite part about Halloween?
Well, yeah, just literally we were like little vagabonds that could go get free candy from random people. How is that not an amazing model? A. B, I liked the dressing up. You could be whoever you wanted to be, and it was socially acceptable.
Do you have any highlights of costumes that you wore as a kid that you're like proud of to this day? Like that was pretty cool?
Oh, man. I don't know what my favorite one was, but I do have a memory. Early childhood. So when I was young, when I first started trick-or-treating, we lived in New Hampshire, and it was super duper cold. by October, obviously you're from the Northeast as well. By that time, it was generally frigid. And one year I do remember, I guess I was proud of this. I was Jasmine, Princess Jasmine.
Oh yeah.
And Princess Jasmine didn't have many clothes. Let's be
She lived in a
honest here.
desert climate. So,
Yeah. So anyway, I was Princess Jasmine. And of course it was frigid. I think it was like 36 degrees or something that day. So my mom was chasing me out the door with my dad with a big old giant puffy winter parka coat, and I pitched a fit because I was like, no one's gonna know who I am. They're not gonna see the Jasmine costume, and then they'll have these like blue balloon pants kind of peeking out underneath this giant coat. So yeah, I remember having a shit fit, but I guess, I really wanted people to know that I was Princess Jasmine.
Well, so what was the outcome? Did people know you were Princess Jasmine still?
I had to explain it.
You did?
And it just made it awkward because it was like, nobody, me. Hey guys, I'm Princess Jasmine. Check it out.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is, you are a blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
So yeah, it was a little, it was gonna need explanation regardless because I did not get a wig, nor did I dye my hair. So yeah, I mean, I had a braid and a headband.
Honestly, I was gonna say probably the one that I would have mistaken you for, especially back then. Be like, oh, are you I Dream of Jeannie? Because you were a white blonde.
That's fair, yeah.
You're wearing the baggy pants or whatever. Anyway, so. Well, very cool. Yeah, I had a few costumes that I was proud of. I went as funnily enough, for as much as I love Ninja Turtles, I never actually went trick-or-treating as Ninja Turtle.
That shocks me.
Me too. Like, it's insane.
Shocks me greatly.
Yeah. But I was Batman a couple of years. I went as the Crow a couple of times. Remember that movie, The Crow?
How old were you?
I was like 12 or 13.
Oh,
it was
okay.
Like the coolest
I was
movie
like,
I'd
I
ever
was
seen.
5.
No, that movie came out in 94, so I had to be, I was at least 7. But no, I saw it as a teenager. Actually, I more so wanted to dress as my favorite wrestler at the time, who was Sting. And Sting, his character is based off of the Crow, but I couldn't do Sting's face paint, so I just did the Crow's face paint because it was just 2 lines straight down on the eyes. Anyway, looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, there was one year that I did wear one of the, I think maybe a lot of people listening to this had 1 or 2 costumes that you're like, that probably wouldn't fly in 2023.
Oh, that's
And
fair.
unfortunately, I did have one of those costumes. So for my freshman year of high school, I went to our Halloween dance as Special Officer Doofy from Scary Movie.
Oh, God.
And I was really good at it. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter because
We'll just leave it at that.
And I got second place in the Halloween costume contest.
Oh,
So
who won first?
that's a good question. I couldn't tell you.
Mm.
Actually, I do know.
It's a shame.
So every year, 2 seniors, like from that class, the graduating class, a boy and a girl would dress as nerds, and that was like the tradition for
Like
years.
the candy or
No.
Oh,
Like
I was
actual
like,
nerds. Like they would
what?
wear nerdy glasses and pocket protectors and stuff like that.
That's fair.
So every year, 2 seniors would do that, and almost every year, those seniors would win first prize for the Halloween dance. So it was kind of rigged.
I was going to say, that's bullshit.
So I was the real winner as far as I was concerned.
I bet your mom told you that too, baby.
But anyway, Halloween, great time, favorite time of the year. And last year you weren't on our Halloween episode, so I feel like we just needed to at least get some of that out of the way,
yeah.
because we had okay, one more thing, and then we'll get into Hocus Pocus. Oh yeah, we're talking Hocus Pocus today, guys. Favorite Halloween candy to get? Is it Reese's like every other person?
So it's actually morphed. I mean, now that I've gotten older, yes, I'm basic and it is Reese's.
Yeah.
But when I was a child, it was actually Butterfingers.
Oh yeah.
And one year, I think the reason why it morphed is I actually got sick off Butterfingers. And I don't think I was like sick with a virus. I think I ate so much that I actually like made myself throw up. And to this day, Butterfinger, I was obsessed. I was a freak. I would eat the chocolate around, like take my little front teeth.
Oh yeah, because it come right off.
Right? And I would get the whole layer. So then you had that butterscotch or whatever the hell it was in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even kind of flaky. And then I would just eat the butterscotch part by itself.
Yeah.
I had a ritual with it. And I had like that year that I got sick, there was like my mom had found like a stash of the wrappers. I shoved them like under my mattress in my freaking bed frame.
Why are you throwing the garbage?
Because then she would have seen it when she took out the trash. Duh.
And she found them.
I didn't really think it through, Dan. Okay, I wasn't a freaking criminal mastermind. I was like 6.
That's fair.
But anyway, so it has morphed. It
Okay.
was Butterfinger, and then I got sick, and now it's Reese's.
But still in the kind of the general peanut butter. Well, Butterfinger was
Is it butterscotch? Like, what is the butter part of the
Well,
Butterfinger?
because like the tagline was peanut buttery Butterfinger.
Oh, okay.
You know,
so whatever the hell the
I don't
middle
know.
section
Yeah.
is.
It's hard to explain, but
Butter.
it's like a toffee. peanut butter
Yeah, I guess
toffee,
it's toffee. Yeah, that's not butterscotch. Yeah,
but it's
whatever.
peanut butter flavored. Like there's definitely there's peanuts in it. I know that for sure because like you couldn't like give them to certain
Just
kids.
glad I don't have an allergy.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember along those lines? Remember Butterfinger BBs? Did you like those better or worse? I mean, you couldn't really do the whole like gnaw off the outside like a beaver
Yeah,
thing.
so I didn't. I liked
preferred
the
the-
little mini
I got
fun
you.
bars.
And
yeah.
then, of course, back in the day, and even a little to this day, like every candy and like cereal had like a cartoon mascot. Do you remember the Butterfingers mascot?
It was Bart Simpson.
It was Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because he's not anymore, and so that's
No.
I'm very happy to hear you remember that. Just because I'm trying to think of the only like cartoons that are like still tied to products these days. The only ones I could think of are like the Flintstones with the Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles.
But that's not candy.
No, I'm just thinking of food
just in
products.
general.
Times.
Oh,
Like, are
oh.
there any others at this point that like are tied to like a mascot?
I mean, like not a cartoon character,
No, but like a
like
cartoon
Trix is
character-
a bunny.
Yeah,
and
but he was already like he was created for that
Okay,
cereal.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like external property used to sell certain products. So, for example, back in the day, there was these Looney Tunes kids meals from Tyson Foods. Do you remember those?
nope.
Okay, I do. They were lovely. And then the Flintstones again had those push-ups that you could get from
Yes.
the Schwan salesman. Or Schwans? I think Schwans. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, so I was just curious because I was trying to think if there's a lot of like cartoons that like sold candy and unhealthy food back in the day. It was never healthy food,
Right.
you know, which I feel like they could have capitalized on that back because I blame cartoons for me being a picky eater
Well,
because I only wanted to eat the food with the cartoons on it. But if they had
I
promoted
also-
broccoli and carrots and
well, that's a whole different podcast right there. Because I
Oh.
do beg to differ on that as a mother of two boys. I just do beg to differ slightly on that. But anyway,
that's fair. Okay.
moving on to Halloween.
Yes, let's talk Halloween. Let's talk Hocus Pocus. So this actually is, until about 5 seconds before I started recording, did not realize this was in fact not a movie from your childhood. Did you ever watch it as a kid?
Oh, it was on. I'm sure my sister was obsessed. I mean, it was, but
Well, your sister, like I wanted to have your sister on this episode, but she just doesn't want to come on the podcast. So I have to settle for
what?
my wife, who apparently never cared for it as a kid.
Yeah, no, and I feel like I am definitely the minority in that, and that I'm gonna get like a lot of flack for it, admitting this.
So you never you just never watched it at all, or like you? Feel
I
like
mean,
you
I
did?
probably did.
Yeah.
I just don't have any like core memories. Like I'm sure, like if the TV was on, I mean, television for children is like a candlelight to a moth. You know, like
Yeah.
of course, if there's a television on when I was a child, I mean, my open mouth fly trap catching self would sit in front and watch whatever was on the boob tube.
Well, so we've been together for over 10 years, and I feel like ever since we've been dating, we've watched that movie together.
Well,
it because of
honestly,
me?
yeah, really, it
Okay.
was you, and then that year that Megan had come over. What was it, a few years ago, and we really that became like a tradition. So now I
Yeah.
would say, for me now, it is a tradition, but it definitely did not start
It
out
didn't
that
stem
way
from your
in the
childhood.
90s. No,
Yeah, which is, and it's funny too because I feel like I watched it as a kid,
yeah,
and many years went by when I didn't really even think about it, except for maybe when it was on the Disney Channel because of a Disney movie.
mm-hmm.
But then it kind of went by the wayside, and then all of a sudden, I'd say probably like the mid 2010s or like late 2000, whatever, like 2009, 2010 ish. All of a sudden, people are like, "Dude, you remember that movie Hocus Pocus? It was great." And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Well, I got to go get a DVD of it." And this was back when Disney wasn't doing DVD releases for all their old movies yet. And so I remember I had to like track one down at Best Buy, and it was like the last one.
Oh my!
And I paid like $20 for it, and I was like, I have Hocus Pocus. And then a few years later, of course, it was streaming everywhere, and it doesn't matter anyway.
All right.
But I didn't watch it every year of my life from childhood. Like it was not a child. Like I was kind of like you were like, if it was on TV, I would watch it, but I didn't like obsess over it. Like there were other movies from back then, like I would say I obsessed over and continue to through, teenage years
Yeah.
and young adulthood. But this came back around. I guess it probably was when we started dating again, and I was like, "Oh, let's watch," because I wanted a good kind of chill Halloween movie.
Well, you know me and scary
You're not
movies,
big
so
into
I'm
scary
not one
movies.
that's going to be watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something. So this was a
Right.
good compromise for us.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of how we approached it. And so, yeah, we do. We watch it every year. I'd say like hardcore, like made a thing out of it over the last like probably since COVID, I guess,
Yeah.
where we'd make a charcuterie board. We have, like just like cider and all this stuff. And we'd sit down. It's funnily enough, since we've started rewatching it recently, I can't stay awake through it anymore. Like, and you get pissed because we'll watch movies together and you will watch the whole thing. And then like halfway through, you'll like,
Well, it's
hit
not
me.
just this movie, but
No, it's not. But this is one that, like, without fail, the last 2 or 3 years, I have fallen asleep and slept. I think it's because it is such a kind of a comforting movie to me that at this point, because I have, even in my adulthood, seen it so many times, I've just got it kind of memorized. So if we start watching it too late at night and I'm listening to it, it's like a lullaby to me, or someone telling me a bedtime story that I've heard 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to necessarily be invested in it to know that I've gotten my enjoyment out of it.
Well, that's fair.
So anyway, and you're listening to this, listeners out there. Have you seen this? I'm assuming if you're listening to this episode, you're at least familiar with the movie, but hopefully you've seen it, because it is, again, it's kind of a staple in American Halloween culture at this point, to the point where they did in fact make a sequel over 30 years later, or 19 years later, technically. They should have waited in next year to release it to be on the 30th anniversary for Hocus Pocus 2, but they didn't.
Okay, you jumped from 19 to 30, 29.
29?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Math was way off there. My bad. But let's go ahead and I guess we'll just I have a little plot summary here. Let's jump into that real quick and we'll just go through it.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of talk about, what we liked about the movie, what we didn't like, stuff like that. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. In Salem, Massachusetts in 1693, young Thackeray Binks witnesses his little sister Emily being captured by the Sanderson sisters, 3 witches named Winifred, Sarah, and Mary. Unable to save Emily, he's turned into an immortal black cat by the witches. The townsfolk hang the sisters, but not before they cast a curse to return on Halloween if a virgin lights the infamous black flame candle. 3 centuries later, that's 300 years in case you're keeping score, on Halloween in 1993, Max Dennison accidentally revives the witches. With the help of Binks and his friends, they outsmart the witches, who temporarily turn to dust, but come back. Max drinks a potion, allowing the witches to take him instead of Danny, but at sunrise, they once again turn to dust. Binks is freed, reuniting with his sister Emily, and the witches' spellbook hints at a possible return, which does in fact happen 19 years later.
Nice, yeah.
Left out a lot there, obviously. I didn't want to give like a whole total plot summary, but in case you're living under a rock...
Spoiler alerts, guys.
There it is. See, I'm spoiling a 30-year-old movie at this point.
Right.
Is what it is. So let's talk about this first off. First, let's talk casting, okay?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the casting choices in this? Let's start with the witches. Do you like all 3 of the witches?
I did, yeah. No, I liked them. One of my favorites has always been Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. And then I always loved, I was obsessed with Sex and the City.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I've always been a fan of Sarah Jessica Parker. And then, Winifred and Mary. Oh my God, blanking on Bette Midler. There we go. Bette Midler. She did a great job. And I can never remember Mary's.
So Mary's is Kathy Najimy. Is her
Okay.
name. You may also know her from the movie Sister Act, if you ever saw that movie with
Oh,
Whoopi
I
Goldberg.
did,
So
yeah.
she is one of the nuns, Sister Mary Patrick,
Oh, there you
which is
go.
what I know her from before this movie. And then she was in this movie, and then she's probably been in other stuff that I've seen. But I
Yeah,
just don't
probably.
remember.
But anyway, no, I thought they were good.
Yes. Did you? Okay, so Sarah Jessica Parker, even when she was ugly in the first part, she was still kind of hot. In fact, I'm sure I'm not alone. Any heterosexual male or homosexual female may have been their first lady crush back in the day, because
I thought she was gorgeous,
smoking hot.
Yeah, she really was pretty.
Yeah. Bette Midler, not so much. I will say, I'm going to admit this on this podcast for I think the first time ever.
Go for it.
Bette Midler is 100% one of my crushes from when I was a wee lad. Now, not in this movie. I do want to make it clear that I did not find her attractive in this movie. I'm talking Beaches Bette Midler, okay? When she was in her mid-30s, right? I thought she was kind of smoking hot there.
Okay.
But anyway, and then Kathy Najimy is just a lovely person that I want to make me cookies.
I
and
liked
give me a hug.
her. I will say she did great with she had very exaggerated facial.
You're talking about Bette Midler?
No.
Oh, Kathy
Najimy. When
Yeah.
she would with her acting, she would exaggerate her facial expressions, not
Yes.
features, facial expressions,
And kept it consistent too, which I thought was really
Mhm.
honestly. I feel
Um,
all 3 of them did a good job with the facial expressions.
Well,
too.
but they each, I feel like they each had their own thing. Like I
Yeah.
said, Kathy was very like her facial features or her facial expressions, rather, I keep saying the wrong thing. She would exaggerate them with her lips and her like sneers and stuff like that. And then I feel like Sarah Jessica Parker just played kind of the,
It was a ditzy
blonde. Yeah. She played the part very, very well. And then Bette Midler was just definitely that, like, she gave off like oldest sister, like bossy vibes, you know. So yeah.
Well, and what's funny too is they did such a good job with the makeup that when we watched the sequel 30 years later, like she looks exactly the same. They probably just put less makeup on her to make it happen.
Oh Jesus.
No, for real. And it's obviously there were certain things that like the buck teeth aren't her teeth and stuff like that. But in general, like they did a good job because, like I said, I did not realize she was as young for the time as she was in this movie. But then I like watched one of those like behind the scenes featurettes where they interviewed her. I'm like, oh, ooh. Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
So anyway, I think they did such a good job, perfect casting for this movie. Not that there's really anything to compare it to, but I really enjoyed it because they all felt very unique, like unique characters. They looked unique, they sounded unique, they acted unique, and they were all very well done.
But they worked well together.
They very well together, 100%. And so on the other side, you've got our heroes. We've got Max Dennison, who I don't really think did much else after this movie. Like, he didn't go on to become like super famous, and maybe that was by his choice. I don't know. I know he's been in some stuff because I looked up his like IMDb page, and he's been in like, I'm sure, like an episode of Law and Order or NCIS because that's what everyone does,
right?
But other than that, Omri Katz is his name. I don't think he did much after this movie, which is fine. I thought he did terrific. I thought he was kind of cool back in the day. He was like the cool because we were about Danny's age when this movie came out.
Yes,
and so Max to us was like a potential big. Not that either of us had a big brother, but like if we did, like that's what I would picture as a big brother. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Danny, of course, played by Thora Birch, who went on to a number of film and television successes, including American Beauty.
Okay.
And then she was also in a later season of The Walking Dead. So she did quite well for herself, even after being a childhood. She was also in a movie. No, that was a different person. Never mind. She did a lot of good stuff, though. I know that. Did you ever see American Beauty?
No.
You never did with Kevin Spacey?
Nope.
It's a good movie. Highly recommended. Anyway, and then Allison, the girlfriend of Max / whatever with the Yabos. I don't remember her being in much else. I'm sure she was, but again, same thing. Didn't really go on to do much afterwards. Now, one person I do want to shout out because he's a guy that hides behind pretty much every role he's ever been in is Billy. I guess he's a zombie technically, right?
I guess, yeah.
So he is played by a very famous character actor. Whose name is, and I'm looking it up just to make sure I don't get it wrong, it's Doug Jones. I was going to say Don Jones, but Doug Jones. He's an American character actor. He was only 33 when this movie came out, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So he is known for so many films. In fact, he was in a number of Guillermo del Toro films. So he was in the movie, he was in Hellboy. Did you ever see Hellboy?
No.
Don't remember. Okay, he was in Pan's Labyrinth.
Nope.
He was in The Shape of Water.
Nope.
He was so many. So he basically plays all. He did the motion capture, I think, for the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four. So anyway, he's been doing a ton of stuff. He's in Star Trek Discovery now. He is the Baron in What We Do in the Shadows, which is the show we watch.
Yes. Yeah.
So he does everything. And he's great. And I honestly, as a kid, I found him kind of scary, but as an adult, I think he's hilarious. And again, he's just and he came back for the sequel too, for Hocus Pocus 2. So shout out to Doug Jones, amazing actor, love him. And then of course you had all the side characters, you had the bullies, you had the parents and all that. Any other characters that stood out for you as like, oh, that was good.
I liked Ernie.
Ernie? Ice?
Yes, he was funny because he was just a big dumb.
He kind of was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then his friend, I don't even remember his friend's name, but he was given like serious 90s like Jonathan Taylor Thomas vibes with like the blonde hair part, like that was longer but like parted in the middle kind of deal.
Yep. Oh, well, and it was like that, but like the biker leather, like the leather jacket.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he had like the flannel, like
it's like the 90s Nirvana grunge.
Yes, it was definite grunge vibes.
Yeah.
So he was funny, but I liked Ernie being just a big dumb oaf.
Nice. Yeah.
And they stole Max's shoes.
His cross trainers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes, look at you, Hollywood.
That's right. Which is funny because, I would say of all like movie bullies, like these were like the least intimidating movie bullies I've ever. Like they weren't like, I mean, I don't know what they threatened him with, like when because he just gave up those shoes, right? Like,
right.
But they didn't look like they were going to beat him up necessarily. Unless,
well, that's why they panned away,
I guess. And they just had him riding away in his socks, so I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of the casting there, and then I mean so I think the story is nowadays certainly something.
Well,
that would be
and the
cliche.
guy that played Thackeray.
Oh, Thackeray Binks, technically played by two characters because you had the voice actor Jason Marsden, who was not, in fact, the physical actor who played the human form of Thackeray Binks. By the way, I, for the longest time, until well into adulthood, thought his name was Zachary Binks. I don't know if that's just me. I'd never heard of the name Thackeray before, so I
made it up. It was Theodore and Zachary, and they just put it
together as Thackeray. Yeah. So, but he is So let me see who he was played by, because he was, like I said, played by a no name actor. Like I said, but voiced by Jason Marsden, who is Jason Marsden. Yeah, because James Marsden is a different actor. Jason Marsden, who is the very famous voice actor. Actually, he voiced Max in a Goofy movie. Did you ever see a Goofy movie?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was Max in that. He was in a number of sitcoms back in the day. I think he had a spot on Boy Meets World.
Nice.
Yeah, so there we go. So yeah, Sean Murray is the name of the actor who played Thackeray Binks, and actually he does look very familiar now that I'm looking at him. He was in the show Jag.
Okay.
Let's see, NCIS, of course.
Everyone's
Everyone's
there.
in NCIS. Actually, he's a recurring character for several episodes. So he felt real deep into it there. Yeah, he did a stint on ER. Yeah, so
Everybody's been on ER too.
Pretty much, yeah. So he did a little bit. I don't think he's doing a ton these days, but whatever. He was fine for what he did. Again, wasn't even his voice. So I don't even know what the guy sounds like, to be honest with you.
Right.
But so let's I mean, as far as the plot itself, I mean, it's serviceable, right? I don't think it's anything crazy. It's just, to me, I think this is a movie that, and I want to get your opinion because you don't have nostalgia tied to it for yourself.
Fair.
But do you get Halloween vibes when you watch this movie? Does it make you feel like it's Halloween? Like, do you think the atmosphere is, because there's certain movies that are supposed to be that
you can tell that it's done on a soundstage in California, though. But yeah,
actually, I don't think it is. I think it's actually filmed in Massachusetts.
There were green trees in some of the.
I'm not saying they filmed in the fall.
But no, it looked like, I don't know. It looked like they had just thrown.
Well, let's see where they filmed it, because I don't think they filmed in California necessarily. Let's see. So they filmed the film is set in Salem. Oh, okay. Hold on. Shot in sound stages in Burbank, California.
Told you.
Now, daytime scenes were filmed in Salem and in Marblehead, Massachusetts. So
now I know the house from the outside, the one that he lived in.
Oh, that big old corner mansion looking thing?
The white one.
Yeah.
There is, actually, this is something that I've always wanted to do, not, just for Hocus Pocus. I've always wanted to do this. There's like a tour you can take in Salem area.
Yeah.
Around Halloween, obviously they capitalize on the witch trials and all that. And so there's like a path that you can go to see that particular house. So I know that they did shoot the outside of the house there, and it's still standing. Somebody owns it, I guess, and you can walk past it from what I understand.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, no, I've always wanted to go in October and just do the thing in Salem and just go see all the different so I know they did do some shots in Massachusetts.
Yes.
But the one where they're coming out of the school, I'm 99% sure that was a soundstage in Burbank.
Well, this says daytime scenes were filmed in Massachusetts. So
I don't know. There was green trees if you look real hard.
Again, and let's see, and they filmed it in October.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You might be right.
Not all of them, obviously, but
according to Wikipedia, you're wrong. But again, it's Wikipedia.
It's Wikipedia.
I take that with a grain
of
salt.
Go look next time you watch the thing. Go look at when they come out of school. There's like green trees, like just a little ways in the distance.
That's fair. But you look outside here, and there's green trees all around.
Okay, but I can guarantee you in Salem right now, because they're okay. Whatever.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not up there right
now. But
one
year, I do want to go up there for sometime in October and like stay in some kind of bed and breakfast or like an Airbnb and like do the tour.
So you want to hear a fun fact about the story?
Sure.
So when this film was written by David Kirshner, he basically, so there's a documentary from '94, the Hocus Pocus Begin the Magic. So basically, it was the making of the movie.
Yeah.
And so he and his young daughter at the time were sitting outside, and his neighbor's black cat walked by, and so David Kirshner invented a story about how the cat was once a boy who was changed into a cat 300 years ago by three witches.
It must have been some good peyote. That's all I gotta say.
Well, apparently originally it was called Disney's Halloween House. And it was much darker and scarier, and all the protagonists, I guess, were 12-year-old kids, so they were all younger. And so that's how it started out. And then
sounds like Stranger Things.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And so, or like Monster Squad, I think was one from the 80s. That was very similar. And so I think they rewrote it, made it a bit more comedic. They made some of the kids into older teenagers. And then apparently, so fun fact, Bette Midler expressed interest in the script in like 92, and then they went forward. But originally, the role of Winifred Sanderson was written for Cloris Leachman, if you know who that is. She's older.
I love her.
Yeah, old.
Well,
I think from Young
she passed
Frankenstein.
away, but yeah.
Did she pass away?
I thought she did.
How old is Cloris Leachman? She might have. You're right. Let's see. Yeah, she passed away 2 years ago.
That's
Actually,
what I thought. Yeah, she did. She was.
I knew her from Young Frankenstein, actually.
No, I always wish that her and Betty White were my grandparents, my grandmothers.
And then, so as far as other people offered roles, apparently Rosie O'Donnell was offered the role of Mary Sanderson.
I could see that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
That tracks. She apparently declined. She does not want to play a mean witch, so that's why she.
I'm sorry.
That's why she declined.
Has anybody seen The View? No, I'm sorry.
Wow. And then, so fun fact for Max, do you know who was actually offered the role but was too busy to take it?
Who?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Can you imagine if he had taken it?
Wow.
I know.
It might have been even, I mean, I feel like it's pretty popular, but imagine, I mean, if it was
Here's the thing, though.
The Leo DiCaprio.
Well, here's the thing, okay, because Max is supposed to be kind of a dork, right? Like, he's this, like,
that's fair.
hard up for chicks, whatever. Like, can you imagine Leo DiCaprio struggling to get chicks, especially in his formative teenage years?
I'm going to go ahead and admit this. I never thought he was cute.
Really?
I think he's weird looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Even back, like, in, like, Titanic, you didn't think he was a handsome
his
guy?
eyes are beady. I don't
What?
and he has, like, a beak for a nose. I don't like
Wow.
him. I think he's ugly. Sorry.
Wow.
Again, unpopular opinion.
I never knew this about you.
Oh, yeah, he's ugly.
Okay.
That's why I think all the rest of my friends, we'll go off topic for a second with Titanic. They're like, oh my God. And I was like, boring. Like, what? This guy ugly as fuck. I'm sorry.
So you know what else is interesting about this? And you won't know this most likely because you didn't watch it as a kid. This movie came out in theaters in July of 1993.
Oh, that's weird.
How often do they do that now? Like, when was the last time they released a Christmas movie outside of December or a Halloween-themed movie outside of October?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, though.
Now, the only exception I can say is the Halloween movies, the scary ones with Michael Myers. Many of those were released in August.
Oh, interesting.
Up until recently, the last few, they finally put them out in October, and I think it certainly did it better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's in that's I don't know, I feel like that's dumb.
Yeah,
but
it
whatever.
was actually a critical and commercial failure upon its release.
Oh, duh.
Because it came out in July. They lost almost $17 million during the theatrical run.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So, however, and this is where, again, it picked it because I didn't see it in theaters. This is where I first was latched onto it was, through its many annual airings on the Disney Channel. All throughout the month of October, it was rediscovered by audiences, resulting in a yearly spike in home video sales and rentals of the film every Halloween season.
Nice.
So it was one of those, because there's a lot of movies like that, right, where they bomb at the box office, and then through like word of mouth, they're almost like a cult classic. Another one that you actually, I think, is Fight Club. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
You don't like that movie?
I did.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's like totally up your alley with all the
okay.
Boondock Saints and shit.
That's fair.
Box
That's
office
fair.
bomb, but like cult classic.
Yeah, that's fair.
So anyway, I thought that was very interesting. It also came out on VHS and Laserdisc. Remember those?
We never had one.
Oh, I was way too poor to have a Laserdisc.
Yeah,
But do you
no.
know what they were? I mean, it was basically like a record-sized CD.
Sir, we were too poor. May I have another?
It's such. I do love this movie. Like, I watch it every year, not just because it's tradition, but because I genuinely do enjoy it. We haven't even shown our kids this movie yet.
Well, the only reason being the question, a couple things for me that I'm like, I guess.
What do you wear? Because it's like a pretty tame
Mom,
movie.
what's a virgin?
Oh, whatever. That's
Okay. So I just haven't,
Oh my
I'll
God.
let you
Now,
feel
honestly,
that
as a
one.
kid, that went over my head anyway, and I didn't care.
But our little friend likes to ask the questions.
That's fair.
But anyway, that and then both of them are very, very like tender-hearted creatures. And I know he does come, he gets run over, the cat gets run over by a bus. But he does
pops right
come,
back
yes,
up.
but then he his corporeal body dies at the end. And then he becomes the ghost, and then he goes off with his sister. And I just feel like my poor, sweet little friends would just cry really hard, which, I mean, whatever. Maybe I'm just making little babies out of them. But
I was going to say it's a happy ending. So, I mean, all things considered, I don't know. Let's talk about the music real quick, because the soundtrack in general is awesome. But, I mean, that one song, right, that everyone knows, that I Put a Spell on You, performed by Bette Midler.
Yes.
Love that.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. I like that.
Okay.
And then did Sarah Jessica Parker actually sing the children's song?
She did.
I guess that was her voice.
No,
okay.
confirmed here. She the music was written by James Horner, who was a very famous composer, and Brock Walsh, who was the lyricist, and then she performed it. So that was her.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And I thought she did really good. Yeah.
I mean, I liked that one, honestly. I think I liked that better than I Put a Spell on You, because it was very haunting and creepy.
I like them both for different reasons, though.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. What else do I want to say? Because like I said, that's right. And again, you don't have these memories like I do because you didn't watch it. But back in the day, there were scenes that only came out in the trailers for TV.
Mm-hmm.
They did not make it into the final movie. And so I remember it was one of those, like, I thought it was like a Mandela effect. For many years, I'm like, where's the scene of Mary squirting something into her mouth at the grocery store, or them flying into a swimming pool?
Oh, yeah.
Because
I've never seen that.
No, and I thought I dreamt it or imagined it, and then I went on YouTube, and listen, if you're listening to this right now, go look up, like, Hocus Pocus original trailer. You will see these scenes that you forgot existed because they never made it to the final cut. And I finally found them on YouTube, and they're like, something in my brain from way back in the day was, like, instantly validated.
Nice, yeah.
So anyway, I was so satisfied to see that. And then they actually remade those scenes to some degree in the sequel, which I appreciated. Like when they're walking around the Rite Aid or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And they were eating like deodorant or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. So she, like I said, she's in the original one. Mary's squirting some kind of clear, like it looks like lighter fluid or something into her mouth. And I don't know what it was. Who knows? But it could have been like oil or something.
That's hilarious.
But it wasn't supposed to be eaten. And so I remember that. But anyway. Oh, good stuff. And of course, this movie's super popular, with I think there's a musical, right?
Maybe.
I believe. I mean, I know they wrote books. Like there was actually a novel, Hocus Pocus 2, which is not related to the film that came out.
Yeah, I do know there's books.
There's books.
Because I've seen them at Sam's Club.
Mm-hmm. It's obviously a very popular, costume choice for people who have sisters or just good friends and dress up. I feel like you and your sister have talked about dressing up as.
We have. Unfortunately, we don't have a middle sibling. So
as like a Sanderson sister, third.
Yeah. So I was it was understood that I would have been Winifred, and she was going to be Sarah, or what's her name?
It is Sarah. It's actually Sarah in the movie.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And then Sarah Jessica Parker, or whatever her name is.
No, her name is Sarah in the movie.
And then, so we don't have I actually think one year we tried to sacrifice you to be Mary.
I think I offered to do it if I recall correctly.
We're like, we'll do it if you're Mary. And you're like, sure. And I don't think we never
I would do it.
Followed up with
I'm
that.
an attractive woman. If I were to dress up, I'd like.
I think you should leave the beard.
Keep the beard?
Personally, I think you should leave the beard.
I think I could rock it. I'm just saying.
And get you a dress.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk sequel real quick, because we're not going to go into a ton of depth. I'm not going to do like a plot summary or anything like that. But I want to talk about the sequel because that is one that we both watched last year when it came out. We made it a thing. Like we slept over at your sister's house. We literally, I think the kids watched that one, right? Or no? Did we put them
No. Yeah, they watched something else that night.
That's right.
But we did do. We had a charcuterie board that was Sanderson sister themed. We rolled up.
I think we had pictures of it, don't we?
Somewhere, yeah. We rolled up like salami for Winifred's red hair, and I forget what we had, like pineapple, I think, for Sarah Jessica Parker's hair, and all this other, it looked really good. And then we had witch's brew stew.
That was delicious.
I'm gonna make it again this year, where it was like just Italian sausage. We made mushrooms look like skulls. We kind of like dug out some holes for eyes, and then pumpkins out of carrots. And so we had like a fully themed meal. The kids had like mummy hot dogs. I mean, it was just,
Yeah,
know?
that was our Halloween party because we used to have Halloween parties all the time, and not so much anymore. But that was probably and we're having a Halloween party this year too. But that was the closest we'd had to a Halloween party in a while because of
kids.
Kids and COVID too.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean?
But yeah, so we we went all out for the viewing party, if you will.
What were your thoughts on the sequel?
If you're
going to rewatch one at any given time.
So yeah, I think because I didn't have such a nostalgia for it as a child.
Yeah,
I thought that the sequel was great.
Oh, you did like it.
I feel like if you were somebody who watched it as a child and like that was a part of your like childhood identity or whatever, you hated it. But for me, I thought, considering that these poor women were 30 years older almost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they're doing it just because everyone, whatever. I mean, I don't think they necessarily needed the money or anything. They literally just did it because, something I think that they enjoyed and, they wanted their fans to enjoy. So again, it's not like they were hard up for the cash.
Right.
But I think for what it was and the fact that they like did try to bring it into the times, because 30 years is a long time. A lot of things have changed. And they tried to bring it, like my favorite was, what they were writing on, like you got the Roombas and the Swiffer mop and instead of I thought that was hilarious. I died laughing when I saw that,
See, but I liked the movie. Like I know there's some that didn't. I don't.
I thought they did a great job.
I enjoyed it. I'll
for
say
what
this.
it was. I think it was great.
I will say that because I agree. But if I had a choice to watch one over the other, I'm probably going to watch, the first one.
And again, I think it ties to the fact that
Nostalgia.
was
But you could watch either one. At this
But
point
me, I don't really like. I was like, I'll watch both of them. I don't really care, and I thought they were both good in their own way.
I think the one thing that didn't set too well with me was that the end of the second one. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen it, but it's been out for a year, so I don't really feel bad. Is the fact that you sympathize with the sisters, and they kind of become good guys at the end.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was kind of lame because, like, they're evil witches, and that's what they should have always been. I don't think they needed you to sympathize with them. I feel like that didn't need to happen for you to enjoy the movie.
That's fair.
That's my only criticism. I thought they were great in it. I thought the plot was great. I thought it still felt very Halloween-y. You know what I'm saying? Right? It still
said weenie.
I did say weenie. I thought it gave good vibes for that.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Anything else you want to cover with this movie? I feel like we, for someone who didn't really watch it as a kid, there's not much nostalgia there, so we couldn't really go into the memories of it because, again, but you came back to it, fully as an adult. And so, I mean, any final thoughts on the film?
Well, as an adult, like I said, I appreciate it because I think it does make me feel like a kid just due to, I mean, it's a time capsule. Yes. We cited what Ernie and his friends' clothing choices look like. One of them had like a bucket hat or something.
Oh, that was
like,
Ernie. Ernie had the bucket hat.
Yeah.
He looked like
Vanilla Ice.
Well, it was like Vanilla Ice and like not MC Hammer. Maybe it's MC Hammer, like with like the chain.
Yeah. Like he just,
but
it was just the time. So it kind of does make you like when you're watching it, the viewer. Even though I didn't necessarily watch as a child, it obviously, I mean, the clothing and just the atmosphere of it makes you do feel like, and the fact that I am not from Massachusetts but New Hampshire.
It does,
which is a stone's throw away from, Massachusetts. It really does. I grew up with that kind of a vibe, as a child. So it does, remind me of my childhood from the standpoint of the way I grew up the early years.
And I would, same thing. Because, looking at that movie, at least the daytime shots that were shot in Massachusetts, I absolutely got the kind of Northeast, fall vibes because I grew up in very similar, maybe a little more rural where I'm from, but I feel like you're pretty rural too. Honestly.
Yeah, we were.
But a lot of that old time construction, old houses and things
yes,
like that.
Everything's a lot older. Thanks, Sherman. No, I'm sorry. Everything's a lot older up there. There's one scene I think where he's coming. It was after the boys took his shoes or whatever. There's like a brick building on the horizon as he's like like riding away or whatever, like a clock tower type situation. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there was like that reminds me of a place that I saw, you know, it like gives me just like vibes of like where I grew up.
Right. Yeah. And I would 100% agree. It's so if you didn't grow up in that area, you don't have that maybe layer of nostalgia or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely does add to me just from the standpoint of like,
I will say, I don't think I ever went trick-or-treating up north where the people that I trick-or-treated their houses or whatever, you know, like the neighborhoods never went that far all out for Halloween, though. I feel like that was maybe unrealistic, unless you had a different
oh yeah,
experience.
no. I mean, we had one, my sister's scarred for life. We had one lady sit outside, dressed in she like spent money to rent an ET costume.
Oh.
Yeah, did I ever tell you this story?
No, please
Oh
do.
my God, it's fucking hilarious. Okay, so this woman like thought, I don't know, she had a great idea. I was a neighbor, so we were friends with the kids, and so we knew the mom. My mom knew the mom. Everybody knew the mom. Nice lady, but she rented a full-blown ET costume with like a head that went over your head. Like it wasn't just a mask. It was like a big old like mascot looking head.
Yeah.
With mesh eyeballs. And then she just put out her chair, like just a folding like beach chair, and just sat with a bowl of candy, and it had a sign that said "Take one." So we all thought it was a prop. We were like, "Oh, cool!" Like, you know, Mrs. Coleman put out a prop, and we'll just go. She's probably trick or treating with her kids. We'll just go, snag some candy, you know. And so I went up first, and my sister followed suit, and she didn't move with me for whatever reason, or if she did, I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy getting candy. So I grabbed my pieces out of the bowl and, you know, started to turn around and walk back down the driveway, and my sister got her up there, grabbed. All of a sudden, I thought she was getting kidnapped, knifed. I don't know what was happening. This girl threw her candy on the ground, like, blew past me screaming bloody friggin' murder. And so our neighbor like took the head off of her, and she's like, it's me, I'm so sorry. She apologized for like years after that, because my sister, and to this day my sister really freaking hates ET.
Well, I don't think she hated ET before then. That's why that was the reason. I thought it was
because she was little. Well, no, then my parents like the year after were like figured she was over it. So that's why she's afraid of the ride. So we went to Universal after, and we get on the line, and she sees the animatronic ET on the line to get there, where he's like talking to all the different people.
Yeah.
And she lost her shit because it like was like PTSD. She had like a flashback. And so she hit the deck. Oh, that poor kid.
Yeah, I would say so.
To this day, if you mention that, like, hey, you want to watch ET with me? And she's a full grown woman, has a family of her own. She's like, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll pass.
I'm good. You keep that fucking alien.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, that was funny.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So yeah, the one house that really got into it. And
but that was really it. I mean, she just, and it was just her sitting on the, like, as far as decorations were concerned, I think we had like a couple of, you know, lame styrofoam, tombstones. It was just her dressed up.
Yeah. Well, and there's one thing I've learned as an adult is that Halloween decorations are fucking expensive. Like, I feel like they probably weren't that cheap back then either. So these people that you see that go all out, I'm like, what do you do for a living?
Well, I mean, I think so. If I had time, if I did not have a full-time job and some kids, I would make this stuff. I feel like that'd be fun. Like, to make it. Oh yeah. Like there are people that like, I would go and sit there with I would carve styrofoam and paint it, and oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I would learn to build a coffin from scratch. I mean, that's useful information, right?
I mean, yeah.
We're all going to die someday.
That's right. So depressing.
Anyway, I'm just saying.
So before we wrap up, I want to get back to Halloween traditions and trick-or-treating, because one of the things that, when you were talking about your sister and grabbing the candy out of the bucket and whatnot, let me ask you, when you came up to a house that it was like clearly nobody was there, like there wasn't even like...
I never scooped the bucket. I have morals.
Okay.
I have morals.
I want to ask you, because I never scooped it either, but I know people that have done that to us here, like, we've almost caught them doing it. So like, I just didn't know like if that's normal or if like kids are just dicks and we were good kids.
Yeah, no, I did other things, as I've admitted on other episodes of this show.
Yes.
But I did have some scruples. Yes. Okay. All right. I took at most 2 pieces.
Okay. And especially if it was Butterfingers, then you maybe took 3.
Yeah, possibly. But I never scooped the bowl.
Okay, what was a candy that you like? If you got it, you would give it to somebody like you're like hell no, or it'd get thrown away. Like you wouldn't touch it.
Tootsie Rolls, dude.
You never ate Tootsie Rolls.
Oh my god, they're fucking nasty.
They're not. They're amazing.
They're disgusting.
All right. Well, if you get any this
So
year,
I saw, actually, it was funny. We were watching recently. I'm like, you make it sound way cooler than it is. We were watching a baking show or challenge, and I guess I don't know if the word Tootsie Rolls you trademarked or some. I guess
you can't use the.
But anyway, he was like,
the names.
Somebody can use. We have for your cookie, you need to incorporate a chocolate taffy, and I was like, chocolate taffy. Chocolate taffy, fuck you. Chocolate taffy.
That's what it is, though.
I know, but it's just nasty. It looks like a turd wrapped in some paper, and it's nasty. It gets stuck in your teeth. Chocolate.
Do you like
taffy.
any of the variations of the flavors of the Tootsie Rolls?
No, it's disgusting.
It's not disgusting.
Absolutely vile.
Okay.
Vile.
Well, I'm glad to know that's how you feel about
Disgusting.
them. So that you won't fight me for them.
Yeah, no. That and whoever it was always someone's grandma's house, put the strawberries. They look like
Grandma
mints
Purse candies.
But it was like strawberry candy.
You talking about the ones with the soft, chewy centers?
I don't know if it was soft. It was a hard candy.
Yeah, but it was wrapped in like a strawberry wrapper.
Was it soft in the middle? Because I never got that far.
Yeah, they're so good. Strawberry candy
Never
with like
got
a soft
that far.
like jelly in the middle almost.
That sounds worse than I thought it was.
It's amazing.
That sounds even worse than. I'm glad I never let it pass my lips.
And then can we please just give a shout out to one of my favorite Halloween candies and yours, I believe. Could be wrong. Candy corn.
Oh, I mean, I'll eat it mindlessly. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
If I'm gonna, so here's my relationship with candy corn. Am I going to actively go out to the store with the sheer purpose of finding and like procuring a bag of candy corn? Absolutely not. However, if somebody has that shit just laid out in a bowl, i.e. my mother, from September to the end of November, and I walk past the bowl, best believe I'm going to grab a fistful.
Yes.
So that's my relationship with candy corn and the little pumpkins.
I was going to say, do you have a preference, the pumpkins over the candy corn?
I mean, they taste the same. They're
do.
just shaped differently.
And different sizes, yeah. So you get more in your bite. Okay, fair enough.
So that's my relationship.
Yeah,
I will not actively seek it out, but...
If you're listening to this and you don't like candy corn, I mean, I respect your decision, but you're wrong.
Oh, okay, sorry. It took me entirely too long to figure out why. They were named candy corn. Okay?
Seriously?
Because it's a triangle. It doesn't look like fucking corn.
It's a corn kernel.
But then I saw somebody did some kind of Pinterest craft and I was like, look, you can make like corn on the cob out of candy corn. And they shoved it in, like they put peanut butter around something cylindrical. I don't know. And they shoved it and I was like, whoa.
And it looks like corn. That's
I didn't know because I was like, it's a triangle shape. Because when I pull a piece of kernel off a corn cob, it's not pointy at the end.
That's because you don't get the whole thing out. There's a little left on the cob.
I don't know. Anyway,
So-
it took me entirely too long to figure that out.
Last thing on candy corn, and we'll move on because I feel like we're spending too much time on candy corn. When you take a bite of candy corn, do you like bite the colors individually and think that they're going to taste different when they don't?
No, I know.
Okay.
I'm not an idiot, but no, it's like an OCD thing where you have to bite. And then I don't like the ones that like they like do too much. There's like too much orange. Like they miss
the ratios off or
dipping
whatever?
the other that I don't.
Do they dip or do they stick them together?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I bet you there was a Mr. Rogers episode on that.
I'll find it, I'm sure. There's something on YouTube about how candy corn's made. There's got to be because
Or Sesame Street.
Yeah, Sesame
One of the two of them.
Like that. All right, man. Good stuff. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. I know we've been actually trying to record this for a while, but life has gotten in the way. But finally, this is the night before this is coming out on the podcast universe. So it's October 10th. This is coming out tomorrow. So yeah. So Beth, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Happy early Halloween. I don't think I'm having you back on for any other Halloween episode. So I really wanted to talk through Halloween with you and, get your perspective, for the world to hear because, I didn't get to last year. So
that's fair. Anyway,
So, listen, if you guys want to join in on the discussion, I try to post that on Facebook, show topics to get listener feedback and memories to share. I actually do have a couple of memories here to share about Hocus Pocus. I just need to go ahead and pull those up real quick. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and plug our Instagram page so that if you do want to reach out, send me a message on Instagram. It's generation_S_podcast. Give us a follow. Shoot us a message. I need to get better about posting on there, but if you message me on there, absolutely would love to talk to you. If you have memories of any of the shows past that we've done or anything, any show suggestion ideas, let me know. I am always looking for good ideas, so make sure you check us out there. And then also at Generation S Podcast on Facebook. Either way, definitely feel free to reach out. Same thing with YouTube at Generation S Podcast. Before we wrap up here, I've got some listener memories on Hocus Pocus. This one is from Jessica in Michigan. I was 4 years old and had a stint in the hospital. That's depressing. The only movie that I would tolerate watching was Hocus Pocus. My mom rented it and told the movie shop owners she would return it when I was out of the hospital. Hopefully didn't get any late fees. I watched that movie so many times the nursing staff was quoting it, and to this day, I love this movie. The sequel was disappointing compared to the original. There was so much more depth, character development, and the storyline had you on your seat in the OG. The second one was just missing something. Which, again, for somebody with nostalgia, I guess, like you were saying earlier, that seems to be one of the issues there. This one comes from Justin in Kennesaw, Georgia. I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts. The park in front of the kids' school, which was a nursing home in real life, was my daily stomping ground. So there you go. The school scenes were filmed.
Was it? Oh, I'm going to have to go back and look. I just feel like there was some green ass trees.
Yep.
But
he just says, I lived across the street from it. See, the Hocus Pocus house was owned by my friend's grandparents, and a 2-minute walk from my house. I used to go fishing and caught crabs right off the wall in front of the house. Lots of memories growing up there. I was about 9 when the movie came out. Great time growing up and celebrating Halloween there. Haunted Happenings was a 2-month celebration.
See, I want to go, man.
And full-size candy bars when we went trick-or-treating.
That just makes me want to go. Like, we got to, plan this out.
They did Halloween very well there. A couple more here. Nicole in upstate New York, longtime listener of the show, and actually a shirt owner from the Generation S merch page. Make sure you check that out as well in the episode description. I absolutely love Hocus Pocus. It's my favorite Halloween movie. When I used to watch it as a kid, the part where Billy breaks through the ground from his grave always creeped me out. See, I knew it was scary. But now it's kind of my reaction when people wake me up too early, so I have to sympathize with him. The original movie is a lot of fun and keeps the spooky aspect in it, which I think is so important. However, I found the sequel, which I was excited for, was underwhelming. Turned into a full-blown musical, and the Sanderson sisters weren't as scary, and the girls who were the main characters just seemed like they were too kiddish in their role. I also feel like there's a perspective there, though, right? When you're an adult looking at kid actors now, you're like, oh, you're so little. But back in the day, these kids were either the same age as you or older, so you have a different perspective.
That is fair.
I
do, because, we're full-blown adults now.
Yeah, so she said, I guess I felt like the spooky was gone from this one. My daughter felt the same way. We promptly watched the original afterwards and, in order to redeem the franchise. And finally, Ashley in Michigan, Minnesota, sorry. Sorry, Ashley. I think I've seen Hocus Pocus in its entirety once because I'm really great at not knowing when cool stuff like this is on until I turn the TV on and see the pleasant surprise like half an hour in. So there you go.
See, I'm more like her
that was
camp.
You.
Yeah,
but she never really embraced it. So Ashley, listen, I just go stream it. Hopefully, if you have streaming, if not,
it's worth it. It's fun now. Yeah,
for
sure, for sure.
Anyway, so all right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Happy spooky season. We've got some great episodes planned for the rest of this month. Lou's gonna be coming back on. We're gonna be talking all about The Simpsons, and then we're doing an entire episode dedicated to The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. And speaking of horror movies, if you are a big fan of scary movies, and if you're a big fan of drinking alcohol, I am a fan of both, and therefore want to invite you to another podcast that I have. It is called Beer Before Fear, and if you follow the show, you will have known that last week was actually a cross-feed episode from Beer Before Fear, where I played our episode discussion on the movie Scream. So if you like scary movies, if you like beer or any combination therein, check out Beer Before Fear. Just search for Beer Before Fear on any podcast platform that you're listening to this on, and you should be able to find it. The logo is a picture of a beer mug that's shaped like a skull filled with beer and a bunch of VHS tapes. You can't miss it. So with that, guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you are recommending this show to people if you care about it at all. I don't know. Shameless plug, but seriously, let people know you like this show and let people know where to find it as well if they want to hear all kinds of cool nostalgia stuff. We've been going for over a year now. This is episode 60, I think, or 50 something. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, we're getting up there. So, and if you want all the Beth-episodes, you'll have to go back through and kind of see the episode descriptions because I haven't labeled. I should put like an asterisk next to them, like Beth-episode number. This is like Beth-episode 5 or 6, or I forget what it was. I've lost track at this point. But you've been on quite a few times, so you are officially a Generation S Hall of Famer at this point. So,
Cool.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you, Beth, for coming on the show today.
Of course.
And guys, thank you for listening. Happy Halloween season. And as always, we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.